All right, so for this video, we're going to have a lot more variables, and we're going to rewrite and isolate our equation to solve for a variable. But since there's multiple variables involved, we're not going to get just a numerical answer. It's not going to be like x is equal to 4. We're going to have other variables within our answer as well. So when we see this, it says x minus b over 4 is equal to 10. And it's asking us to solve for b. So when we have multiple variables involved, what I would suggest you do is you write out your PEMDAS until you get a hang of this, and you identify all the different operations being done to that variable b. So in here, x is being added to it. Here it's being divided by 4. And then we have that multiplication of -1. So we have all these different operations that we're eventually going to have to get done. And when we look, we say, okay, which one do we need to get rid of first? So since this x minus b is in our numerator, that's actually considered a parentheses. So even though normally we would do get rid of addition before we would get rid of division, since this is actually a parentheses, we need to get rid of this division first. So we need to get rid of that divided by 4. And to get rid of division, we know is multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 4. So now I get x minus b is equal to 40. And now I need to say, okay, I got rid of that division. So now I need to get rid of this addition and it's multiplying first. And remember, in PEMDAS, when we're solving, we actually go in reverse. So I need to get rid of this plus x first. And if you're not sure of how that is plus x, we can rewrite this as negative b plus x is equal to 40. That's the same thing. So you see this x is being added to it. So that means I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And since I can't actually do 40 minus x because they're not like terms, I now have negative b is equal to 40 minus x. It just stays like that. And remember, it says to solve for b, not negative b. So this is the same thing as saying -1 times b. So to get rid of that -1 in front, I'm going to divide. Now everything is being divided by that -1. So when we do this, we need to make sure we're dividing when both things are being divided. We can actually do both of our divisions. So now we have 40 divided by -1, which is going to be -40. And then we have negative x divided by -1, which is going to be positive x. So we have b is equal to -40 plus x. And then the proper way of writing this will be b is equal to x minus 40 because we will write our variable first. The only time we don't necessarily write our variable first is if it's a negative. Sometimes we'll write it as 40 minus x. But once that variable is positive, we will write it as x minus 40. But regardless, if you write your answer like this or like this, you're still getting full credit. All right, so when we are dealing with multiple variables and we're solving for one, it can be a little bit harder because things aren't going to clear out every time. Like it's not going to be like where you're going to always just be simplifying to narrow down your number. But you're just constantly thinking about what is being done to this variable and how do I undo it. All right, there's one more question that we're going to do in this, and then that'll be it for this video. All right, now this question is actually the one that you're going to be tested on the overwhelming majority for solving for an equation, because this is one that matters a lot, because later on when we get into equations of lines, you're going to have to rewrite from what this is standard form to what would be called slope-intercept form. And a lot of times you're rewriting it to solve for your variable y in this sense. So this is the one that we're going to be focused on the most. So if you can do this, you will be proficient for solving your equations for a variable. So we want to isolate our y. So that means we want to solve for this y all by itself. So I see here this 3x is a positive 3x. So that means it's being added to it. I could rewrite it as -5y plus 3x is equal to 25 if I really wanted to. And we can see a little bit more as being added. So I'm going to then subtract 3x from both sides. So now I get -5y is equal to -3x plus 25. Then it's being multiplied by -5, so I'm going to divide each side by -5. And this is where a lot of people make their mistake. All right, in the last question, we did the same thing. When we're dividing two terms like this by -5, both of these numbers or terms need to be divided by that -5. So we will do -3x divided by -5, which now y is being isolated because the -5's cancel. And the negative over negative will cancel out to be positive, so it's now 3x over 5, because that 3 and 5 can't reduce at all. And then we're going to divide the second term by that -5 as well. So positive 25 divided by -5 is equal to a -5. All right, so then let me just get rid of this line because people might think I'm just writing at -5. So that is our final answer. That is isolating our y and solving for y. Right, this question is one that you will have to be able to do. All right, when we get into, I think it's unit 4, where we're solving graphing the lines of an equation, this is what you'll have to be able to do. You'll have to be able to rewrite it. All right, that is it for this video.